John Mellencamp returns to Rochester this Friday night. His live and in-person tour actually starting up at the Auditorium Theatre. And with Mellencamp will be a musician who's known him for decades. Mike Wanchic has co-produced and played on some of Mellencamp's biggest hits, and we're speaking with him this morning. Mike, thank you so much for taking time out to chat with us.
Oh, you're more than welcome. Looking forward to being there.
And Rochester is looking forward to having you. I do want to go back to the very beginning, though, if we can. It's my understanding that your love of music, your love of guitar, all started with an appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show. Is that true?
Oh, well, that was one of those seminal moments in our career. You kind of have these dreams as a child when you're watching those shows, going, "Wow, wouldn't that be cool?" And then suddenly, just happenstance brings thing about, and there you are on Ed Sullivan on those shows. It's pretty remarkable. I mean, certainly watching shows like Ed Sullivan, seeing the Beatles and looking at their haircut, going, "Wow, I need to push my little burr haircut down into bangs." It kind of becomes one of those little moments where you make an unconscious decision that this is going to be the rest of your life.
So you have been working with John Mellencamp since 1973, if I'm not wrong.
76.
76. I apologize. First, I want to know, how did the two of you end up meeting up? And then I would like to know what you need to do to maintain that relationship in both a producer and musician role, and continue to evolve that. How do you make that grow?
I think the primary driver of that kind of long-term relationship is being candid and honest, with the artist. You have to tell the truth. And sometimes that's really hard because, things don't go necessarily the way you want them to go. But I think in the music industry, if you want to really be successful, you have to be honest. You have to continue to want to develop yourself as an artist. And that's the one thing that I've really admired about John all through this process of 23 records, is that we never sit back on our laurels and try to make the same record twice. We respect our audience enough to know that they're smart, we're smart, so we're going to give you something that will challenge you, as opposed to something that is a repetition of the last three records. I think as soon as a person gets comfortable and sitting back on the laurels, the clock starts ticking the other way.
How do you balance the two roles that you have out? Where's the separation between producer Mike and musician Mike? And is producer Mike present on stage during live performances?
I would say on live performances, we are a machine. We are the most well-oiled, over-rehearsed. And over-rehearsed doesn't mean that it's dead and dry. What that means is that the last thing I need to worry about is what's underneath my hands and my guitar. Because if you have to start thinking about everything you're playing, you can't participate in what's really happening on stage. Because it's a live dynamic performance, you have to have your eyes open, your head clear, and keep your head on a swivel, and the last thing you need to do is go, "Oh my God, what's the next chord?" So that's kind of how this band operates. We are a machine. We're an organism. We've worked together for so long. It's second nature. And there's a real beauty inside that, and a real comfort, that you can stand in front of thousands of people a night and perform that music without fear.
I want to backtrack, if we can. Just a moment ago, you said that it takes a lot of honesty to maintain this relationship. I have to imagine between you and everyone else in the band. What do you do, though? Is it that honesty that helps you push those boundaries, helps you evolve, and helps you create something that the audience has not seen before, to surprise them, to give them something new? Is it that?
Well put. That is a difficult thing to do, and that is the object of the exercise every time we go in to make a record. The whole object is to come forth with something fresh, new, that challenges the audience, it challenges us. And in that process, I think the honesty of bouncing something off the benevolent dictator being John, it's imperative. Everybody's parts are up to change, up subject to non-use or use. If I come up with a drum part, then that's the drum part that's going to happen. If the bass player comes up with my guitar hook, that's what it happens. We're a democracy when it comes to working hard to find the proper parts, but then we become an autocracy when John has the bottom line, because it's very important that someone be the final filter, and we always leave that to John.
Let's chat, if we can, briefly about the audiences. They love the live performances. They love seeing you all together. Music, as we all know, is really a powerful tool, and can often be a conduit to bring people worlds apart together. Do you look at music that same way? Do you see it as something that's awe-inspiring, and there's no separation between people when we're listening to you performing on stage? Does that make
Absolutely makes perfect sense. I mean, it's a community. It's a community when you're there, and that's what we're trying to do, trying to create like an instantaneous community that everybody can sort of have communion in, and enjoy the music and be there together. I mean, that's the whole point of this thing. It's not to, throw us up on stage, in a form of adulation. Who cares about that? What we do care about is communicating with the people that love us and have supported us throughout our lives. I think that's the most vital thing about having a real show, for real people with real music, no artificial loops, no nothing. This is us delivering what we think, and know that our crowd loves, and we're bound and determined to deliver that.
And boy, do you ever deliver that. I mean, and you've done it for decades, so you know how to do it well, too. Looking ahead at the next, the next chapter here as you enter this tour, as you start this tour here in Rochester,
Yeah.
what about that excites you?
Oh, I can go all the way back into the '80s at Rochester, and it's always been a wonderful place to come. I love it. I can't wait to get there. It's really interesting when this far into the game, when you come back to cities and it feels like home. You walk into the theater, you go, God, this is great. I've been here so many times. Everything feels like home across the United States. Almost every venue. We've been around for so long, played so many places. Uh, it's always a pleasure to get back out there and connect with the people that have supported our lives, supported our families. There's a relationship there that is unbreakable.
Is there a place you haven't played yet that you would love to, so that you could have that same sense of home at some point?
Wow, that's a really interesting question. Never been to South America, but I doubt we're going to go.
You could
Um,
take a group vacation, right?
I think I'll pass on the group vacation, but I'd love to take a family vacation.
Well, listen, you let me know who to call, and we'll see if we can get that in the diary and get that arranged for you. Mike, thank you
Okay.
so much for your time today. I greatly appreciate it. You can catch Mike Wanchic with John Mellencamp live and in person tomorrow night at the Auditorium Theatre. There are tickets available. We'll post all of that information and much more on our website, foxrochester.com, after the show this morning. Mike Wanchic, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure.